seeking for the most authentic and excellent content on social media to increase your reliability and trustworthiness of news and information?
Are you interested in learning more about media literacy and how to use it efficiently? Well, we got you covered.
Welcome to Insider Media Podcast. Listen and learn from us as we go on a quest to enlighten the entire world about the significance of media literacy and how the media has shaped society as it has developed over time. Joining the domain of media allows one to acknowledge its value quickly, but it also has downsides. Every post is like a competition because people must learn to filter and edit their posts, shares, and comments to show their best and perfect selves behind the disguise of the online society. Nevertheless, do all members of social media platforms merely show off their best and most appealing features? Is the only purpose of the platforms to transmit information and news? In tonight's episode, we will talk about the dangers of social media and how it affects people in today's world.
Our special guest for tonight is a student leader and a rising social media influencer who uses social media to share her life stories and empower women. Welcome to our podcast, Ms. Cassandra May A. Cabuenas.
Good day, Miss Cassandra. How are you feeling today?
Hello and good evening, Insider Media, and to all the listeners out there. I am very overwhelmed to be on your podcast. You have been one of the institutions that have been highly respected and looked up because of your mission and goal on media literacy. I have learned a lot of things from you, and you are one of my inspirations to become an influencer who uses social media to educate and empower people. I am thrilled to share my experiences, knowledge, and advice with you today.
Wow, that was such a beautiful insight to say, Miss Cassandra. We are happy and grateful that our words have influenced people's lives. Social media is really one of the most efficient ways to interact with people. But as social media becomes more widespread, it brings a variety of new concerns and threats. As someone who witnesses how the internet world behaves, Miss Cassandra, what do you suppose are some of the scenarios that arise when utilizing social media?
Well, we cannot deny that social media really helped us in everything we do, especially in communicating our loved ones. We create social media accounts for this, and when we were first-time users of these platforms, we did not know how to properly use it. With these, some people took advantage to meet their pleasure or financial needs, prompting them to hack or rob our accounts. Unluckily, I was one of those people who just unknowingly clicked some links and got victimized by online hackers. Back then, I was a first-time Facebook user, and I did not know how to operate it. In fact, I am not the one who created my first account, but it was my friend. One day, when I was exploring and scrolling in my Facebook timeline, I clicked a link that was sent to me, and then my account got logged out, and I could not access it anymore. It was so frustrating because there were important files there, just like some of my schoolwork documents and my pictures from high school. I lost all of them since I was young and uneducated at that time. It's a frightening situation that people should be aware of to avoid worsening occurrences like hackers could share malicious content using your social media accounts.
Oh, I am sure that you became uneasy and troubled at that time, Miss Cassandra, given that hacking in the Philippines was very rampant. We know that what happened was sad and unexpected, especially since you did not have enough knowledge.
That is why having a wide scope of knowledge and education is relevant, especially for people who are targeted by online hackers. In my news scope before, I found out that the Philippines is said to be the most susceptible to cyber attacks among all ASEAN member countries. Despite the urgent warnings, The Republic's media and entertainment like ABS-CBN still fell victim to a hack. The company took down two of its online stores and admitted that the sensitive personal data of 213 customers of the ABS-CBN store and UAP store may have been exposed to attackers. It's a dangerous situation since they use internet to sway people, and these individuals may continue to trick, utilizing their capabilities to scam businesses and citizens. And you know what? This situation is an excellent illustration of how social media can be abused.
Yes, that is a great example. Online hacking is an act of compromising digital devices and networks through unauthorized access to any account or computer system. It is most commonly associated with illegal activity and data theft by cybercriminals. Recently, we also experienced this in our family, particularly in my father's account. Like what happened to me, he was scrolling in his Facebook timeline and suddenly it got logged out. The next day, my father informed me that he could not access it anymore. Fortunately, I already know how to retrieve an account. However, it takes a long process. We needed to send valid IDs to identify my father's identity. Meanwhile, when we were in the long process of retrieving the account, the hacker changed the name of my father's account to a woman's name and a woman profile picture. We became worried about it because we perceived that the hacker could spread inappropriate content using my father's account. Thankfully, after a few weeks of waiting for the verification, we successfully retrieved my dad's account. We found out that the hacker used my father's account for Facebook dating. It was so terrible, but it was a good thing that I retrieved his account. Thanks to media, specifically YouTube, I was able to solve immediate threat.
As you mentioned before, social media is really a great tool in everything that we do, which is why to secure ourselves, we as users of social media are advised to be tremendously cautious while using these platforms. If none of us sees what's happening, there's a strong potential our privacy will be attacked or invaded. Online hacking is considered a threat. However, there are additional concerns and problems that social media has made visible that contribute to this problem. When a person is deceived into disclosing personal information over the internet, sensitive information is taken. Our institution researched how hackers and scammers used an e-wallet to obtain one's information. An e-wallet contains the user's payment information and passwords for different payment systems. Hackers may email users to click on a link to fix an account mismatch to achieve their login details. Unfortunately, the link leads to a scam account login page, which gathers and transfers consumers' personal information to hackers. We found out that the cases of online scams and computer-related identity theft have increased during the community quarantine. Data from the Philippine National Police Anti-Cybercrime Group show that 869 online scams were recorded from March to September 2020, higher by 37.28% compared to 633 incidents during March to September of 2019. Miss Cassandra, don't you think social media may be alarming if it's not used appropriately?
Absolutely. They do not only infringe others' privacy to make online hacking possible, but they also create fabricated and fake identities to deceive people into giving them what they want.
Scammers have taken advantage of the premise that we are amid a pandemic in which many lives are at risk and that thousands of people are unable to leave their homes. They have taken advantage of this opportunity to steal and scam others. People frequently receive spam emails or links from hackers posing as government or health-related agencies, hospitals, or insurance firm to look trustworthy while using a fake ID.
That is much related, Mr. Kirk. From what I can observe from these Facebook groups, many victims express their experiences being deceived by a fraudster who pretended to be someone they knew.
Because the COVID-19 pandemic has limited face-to-face engagement, the great majority of people have become more reliant on social media as a form of communication. Data Reportal has accumulated statistics showing that the number of internet users in the Philippines increased by 4.2 million between 2020 and 2021, and that the number of social media users in the Philippines heightened by 16 million between 2020 and 2021. Online hacking should be avoided, and we should be aware of it because it can develop into much more devastating consequences. Now, as someone who has gone through such a distressing experience, do you have anything to say to the people listening to our podcast, Miss Cassandra?
Yes, of course. I am affected and victimized by online hacking, and it has made me more aware and vigilant about our nation and the media as a whole. I came to recognize and learn a few compelling reminders after the alarming incident. First, make sure to have a strong password for your online accounts. See to it that it won't be guessed by people easily but is easy for you to remember. I recommend that your password should be 12 characters or longer. It should be unique and long. And always remember, do not share your passwords with anyone. Second, do not unconsciously click links that were sent or posted to you. Check first the information written in the caption and double check if that is a reliable source. As the saying goes, think before you click so that you can avoid viruses that could hack your social media accounts. Lastly, use two-authentication in your smartphones and social media accounts. It serves as an extra layer of protection so that your account won't get hacked. Also, this will be your last resort if your account is hacked because this will be a helpful tool in retrieving your accounts.
That is a concise yet well-thought piece of advice. Did you hear that right? Please do think comprehensively before clicking.
And that concludes our discussion for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Cassandra May A. Cabuenas, and to our listeners who took time to listen to our podcast.
Let us know your insights about this concern. It would also be wonderful to hear about any of your online hacking experiences and lessons learned to prevent future incidents by sharing this podcast in your social media accounts. And don't forget to tag Insider Media.
Thank you for tuning in to Insider Media Podcast. This has been Kirk Janji Caballero
and Bayaline E. Ayo. We hope you liked and learned something in our extensive journey at the social media threats and risks. To stay up to all the latest updates, you can visit our blog website, insidermedia101.weebly.com, and you can reach us at our email insidermedia101@gmail.com. That's all for this episode. Have a great night. This podcast is brought to you by Insider Media. We search for the truth and voice out the truth. We aim to offer unfiltered facts and testimonies without hesitancy. We are the trustworthy providers of knowledge who impart qualities of courage and honesty in our lives. Our words, our weapon. For our next episode, we are going to talk about In the Making of the Media Universe, the Metaverse. If you want to listen, just click next.